Okay, so products to powers. So let's say you have two bases that are being multiplied, a and b, and you want to raise it to the nth power. Well, then you're talking about, well, I'll just give you the rule. A to the nth, b to the nth. It's almost like distributing. They each get that exponent. Now I'll explain what it's talking about. So let's say you have x squared y cubed. I'm using smaller numbers. To the fourth power. Well, then what you mean is x squared y cubed times x squared y cubed times x squared y cubed. Okay, 4 was too big. X squared y cubed. And then you're going to take all those, it's all multiplication, right? So x squared times x squared times x squared times x squared. And then you've got y to the third, y to the third, y to the third, y to the third. And then you're like, well, isn't there an easier way to do it? Yeah, so here you're grouping these together. You're going to, say 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, or 2 to the 8. I'm sorry, x to the 8. And here you're saying 3, 3, 3, 3, 4 3s. That's going to be y to the 12th. But it would have been easier just to multiply these. Okay, so power to a power. So, but I've got two bases. So it's like x squared to the fourth and y cubed to the fourth. And then I can use the last rule we talked about where we're multiplying those and we're multiplying those. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. And we have some examples. Okay, now here's the part that people have trouble with. They forget about the coefficient sometimes. But remember, that's a base. So you have -2 to the fourth power. Think of a 1 being on that -2. Then you're going to have y to the second to the fourth power. Now, I probably would have just put y to the 8th, but I'm going to show this one out to you. Okay, so you're going to have -2 to the fourth. Now, this you have to think about. What's -2 times -2 times -2 times -2? Or do it on a calculator. But it's going to be a positive 16. And then this part, power to a power, you're going to multiply them, y to the 8th. Now you could write it out like I did in the up above example too, but this is probably an okay way to do it. Now let's look at this. This is like crazy difficult. I made this problem up. Okay, so what's the coefficient here? Well, it's -1. So you have -1 to the -4th, which we can talk about that later. You would have a to the -8, because I'm going to go -4 times 2. I would have b to the 12th, because -4 times -3. I'd have c to the 4th, and then I would have d, okay, that's d to the first power, so d to the -4. Okay, now I could say, well, anybody that's a negative exponent, move. So go downtown. All right, so I have b to the 12th and c to the 4th in the numerator. And then I have this -1 to the 4th. Now, we don't have to really worry about that, but we'll talk about that in a minute. A to the 8th and d to the 4th. Which, by the way, when we're doing our variables and they're being multiplied like that, you put them alphabetically. So B is before C and A is before D. Okay, what's -1? I don't know if we've talked about this yet. What's -1 times -1 times -1 times -1? 1. That's what it is. It's going to be positive because you have 4 negative signs. So an even number of negative signs is going to be positive in multiplication. All right, so my final answer in this case is b to the 12th, c to the 4th, over a to the 8th, d to the 4th. And that's how you'd write the answer. I did kind of make up a hard problem, but I wanted to talk about those different things and show it to you. Okay, we'll have more examples.